Well, hello friends, and welcome back to the cabin. Yes, I have been to the Five and Dime store again this week. That's just a standing joke now for this electrical job is nickel and diming me to death. But I went down and I picked up some of these little barrel copper connectors. I guess you would call them a connector. They actually go around several ground wires, and then you put that on there, and I had to buy a special tool which I took it apart to see if it would fit these. I'll show you how it's made. Okay, this really small copper connector right there, and this is the end of this set of pliers, and then this is what that right there is what will hold all your ground wires together without them coming loose. So I picked up two little boxes of that. I think that's going to be plenty for this cabin right here. And I got myself a new tool. It's actually got a smaller size on the front. The one I showed you was on the back, and then it's got those little bitty set of snips, cut wire right there on the end. I picked up a couple of more bags. I got a bag of yellow and a bag of these red nuts. Some people call them, see, what do they call these? They call them a wire twist. They come in all different colors, but I got this right here for the number 12 wire, this right here for the number 14. I got two bags of 1/2 inch because we've got that number 1 gauge, which is about as big as my thumb, out there for the solar array. I've got some of these U-clamps right here. I'll be able to run that wire around, keep it clamped down, make it look nice and neat. I picked up some 3/4, those little plastic things that screw up into the knockouts, because I noticed several of those on that inverter panel out there, so I went ahead and picked up some of those. And of course, you know, I'm still working on the wiring here in the cabin, so I got several of these plugs still to go. I got a box of switches right there, and then of course all the face plates that we had done, you know, burned them. Of course, they've got dusty sitting over the years, but that's what they look like right there. And the back side's got metal, and then the front side we burned it and oiled it. This is what they look like originally. It's just plain wood like that, and of course, you know, back is still the same. This is for a GFI outlet, and then that's what they look like finished. Which one do you like? I've got about half of the cabin done so far. I'm afraid there's probably going to be a little bit more of this in the videos, probably the next couple. But after that, I think I should have all of this done in here, and we can get back to wiring on. Now, I may go out there tomorrow, you know, just depending on what the weather's like. Recently, it's been so cold that I've just been staying in here and working on the wiring. But I am going to have to go back out there and get that wiring attached to the wall, get all of that equipment hooked up before we can energize, and the cabin too, here. I've got to get all of this put in before we can energize this cable. Otherwise, I would have to leave the main breaker out there, because all these ends have to be cleared so that you don't get any shorts, grounds, anything like that. But yeah, it's coming along, slow but sure. So I was in here working the other day, and I looked up and I noticed a vehicle, white vehicle, and it was the power, the utility people. And they were here to check out Jennifer's house site down there. And so I walked out and I was talking with him, you know, and he said, now he is the one that actually came up here, how many years ago was it? 4 years ago? I didn't even have this cabin finished. And he quoted me right at $10,000 to get the power up here. And then of course after that you pay a monthly fee for having the power and the service, right? He said, it's incredible what you've done up here. And he said, how's your power working? I said, well, I don't have it hooked up yet. That's what I'm working on currently. And I told him, I said, you know, we still only have about $7,500 in this system. And it's still, with all the work that I've done, the money that I've spent, it's still been cheaper than what they were going to charge. And once this gets hooked up, I won't have no monthly payment. I told him, I said, you know, things go bad in the house, you replace them and fix them. I said, things are going to go bad with this solar equipment. I'll replace it and fix it. I said, where I will get the money to is in the savings from not having to pay you on a monthly basis. I said, so a lot of this has a 10 to 15 year shelf life, and at that rate I could save, you know, up close to $25,000 depending on how much I paid you per month. You know, if it was up around 200 bucks a month. And I said I could buy 2 or 3 of these systems with that kind of money. I said, so there's where the money comes from to maintain it, in the savings. Anyway, so he thought that that was pretty cool, and he said, well, let's run down and check out Jennifer's place. He wanted to know where the nearest pole was to her down there, and because the route actually runs down through the bottom of the field, through the valley down there. And I said, well, you're probably standing somewhere in the neighborhood of 300 feet, which he's going to have to add a little bit extra, making it a little bit longer span than normal, because generally they try for like 300 feet, you know. And I told him, I said, I've seen some working for the phone company that was like 700. He goes, oh yeah, but those guys aren't around. They're not working anymore. But my point is that with that span, let's say it was 400 feet total, okay? He said that he would go ahead and replace the pole that was down there, because it's a really short, narrow pole. He said he will replace that one for free since it's already there. But to set one pole over here and an anchor, we have to clear the right-of-way, which is basically 30 feet, okay? We have to clear for them to do this. And they're going to come and set the transformer over here. I think he estimated the price right at about $7,000. Now it would have taken a little bit more to come up here, probably an extra pole, so that's where they're getting that money. But I still have a hard time believing that it's going to cost them that much money. I'm not sure exactly what the wholesale price on those transformers are, and the line, because they buy that in bulk, and then the pole, and then, you know, a day's labor. I don't think it comes to that much money. I could be mistaken, but I would be certainly surprised if it did. But anyway, so that is going to be happening. We're going to be clearing out the route for them to get power down there, because the only other alternative is for them to build solar like I have and put it in there. But yeah, so that will be happening pretty soon. And I believe that water is still about a month or 2 out, because originally when they checked on it, the guy said he wouldn't be able to get to them for about 4 months. That's how backed up they are. And he has probably drilled every well in this area in the last 60 years. But they do a really good job. I think when I built this other house over there, I paid around $4,500. Now, they gave Jennifer a price of $20,000, $18,000 to $20,000. Can you believe it's went up that much? That's crazy. Now, I built that other house in 1990, let's say 1995. Okay, so you're looking at 30 years ago. It has almost went up 100% every 10 years. That's just nuts. That's absolutely crazy. But anyway, you know, that's what it costs today. And if they're going to have water, that's what they're going to have to do. But they're also going to have to spend quite a bit of money, and I'd say somewhere in the neighborhood $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 on a water softening system, because once they punch a hole in the ground here, they're going to pull up water that's pretty much got, you know, traces of iron and sulfur in there, because that's the majority of the people in this area. And the reason that they could estimate and give them a price is, like I said, they've drilled most of the wells in this area so that they know about where the aquifer is that most of the wells tap into in this area. So they know about how deep, you know, average, that they would have to go to get her a well. That should be happening fairly soon as well. So one of the next things for them to be delivered is the material to build the house, and then I think that there's going to be another delivery where they actually bring the metal for the side. But that should be happening, and then they'll be getting a start on the flooring. They're going to put up the walls, the roof, and I think that that's all they do. And then Jennifer and Steven have to finish it from the inside, which they have a contractor I think is going to do some of the things in there, but I've got a friend that does a really good job on flooring. I think Jennifer wants him to do that. And there might be a few others involved, but it's about time to get that thing started up with the floor. Hopefully get it covered in by January where they've got a roof over their heads to be able to work out the rest of the winter until spring. So that's the latest that's happening on Jennifer's place down there. Then I've got another little project, and I may go ahead and do that on the review channel here. The guy that came, my friend that came up and helped me to dig all the holes and put the solar arrays and stuff in, Jimmy, he came up here earlier today and he asked me if I had any cedar that he might be able to buy so that he could finish a wall that's about, I think it's 8 by 11. And I told him that I had a cedar that I'm getting ready to take down out there behind those arrays, so you know, the chance it might fall on there, and it might produce enough for that little project. So what he's going to do is he's going to build an accent wall, and since the lumber's green, you know, he knows that you have to kind of change up the way that you use it. You know, I told him that board and batten or lap siding, whether it's on the outside or whether it's on the inside, is about the only thing that you can use green lumber for. And that would pretty much be an accent wall, right? So I said, you've got two options. You can do it board and batten, or you can do it lap siding. I don't have any way to dry the wood, and he's looking at air drying, you know, 6 months, maybe a year before he could do it. And he said, well, what if I just did the board and batten? I said, then you would be fine. So what he will do is they'll be boards so wide, and then he's going to use a real thin strip, maybe like only 1/4 of an inch, because like I said, it's just an accent wall on the inside of the house. But that way he can cover that wall, and I'm not going to charge him anything. My goodness, he came over here and he helped me, but he argued with me. But I'm just going to tell him next time to just hush. He's not big enough to whip nobody. And he's already paid for it, you know, by coming up here and helping me. And I think, you know, people need to help people, okay? And so I'm going to help him out by giving him that tree. I'm going to mill it up on the sawmill for him because he came up here and helped me, right? Anyway, so that's another little project that's coming up that we will probably assist Jimmy on. Like I said, I'll try to do it on the review channel. So friends, I'm sorry that I haven't had anything more exciting to show you on this review channel, but it has been so extremely cold since that front came through across the U.S. basically, border to border, that I just decided, since this had to be done, just to kind of take off a few days from all the extremes out there and work on the cabin right here. So I hope that you guys are enjoying this because it has to be done. Anyway, friends, thanks so much for stopping by. We certainly do appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing you back up here at the cabin again next time.